Welcome to Scarecrow Miniature Paints. I'm Steven, and in this video we are going to continue working on our aarokocra that we are painting to look like a American Crestle. And we are going to work on our harpy. If you've seen the last few videos, the harpy is going to have a green outfit with blonde hair, and we're going to try getting some blue eyes going in there. With figures like this, I don't like doing blue eyes, but I'm going to show you guys a technique to do eyes. With the aarokocra, we're going to try working more on the white, and we're going to work on the next base coat, which is going to be pure uniform gray. And then we are going to work on, try to just gradually get that up. We may even do a base coat on the white a little bit more, just to make it stand out a little bit more. With the harpy, we're going to work on her blonde hair, and we might even get to the clothing on her. We'll have to wait and see. But we do want to start slowly, gradually going into our highlights with her. But we're going to focus on this guy here first. So first and foremost, I want to straighten out my brushes. You want a nice, even tip brush. One good way of doing that is just to use your mouth. But we are going to start with our uniform gray. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going to do uniform gray up. And then I'm going to do a mixture of uniform gray with wolf gray up. And the reason we're doing that is because with him, as you remember, he was highlighted from the top down. So he's going to have darker shades going down, such as that gray into that gray, then into this gray, and then finally the top gray. And then with our harpy, she was highlighted from the front. But I'm going to show you how to do some nice highlighting techniques across the board for both. So we're going to mix this up, our water and our paint. We're going to make sure we didn't get it too much of a wash. Get some on. We're going to load some up. And it did kind of become a wash, but that's fine. We want it to be somewhat of a wash, just because we want it to stand out. And with this one, we're just pulling it down to a specific point. Same with this side. Because we want to leave some of that open so that the highlights show through. We're going to do its head. I'm being a little bit more careful with the head because we don't want to mix it into the white. Like such. So now we're going to add our next layer. Now that did become somewhat of a wash, but it stuck pretty good to how we wanted it, because you can see it transitioning right there into that gray. So now we're going to mix wolf gray with it. Now what I like about wolf gray, I'm making sure I didn't get no paint on that one is that it's almost a bluish gray, and that's the highest point we're trying to go for with this. So I'm going to load up my brush, mix that up, get it nice and mixed up together. Ooh, that turned out nice. I'm going to add a little bit more gray to that, to where it's a nice medium between both. Like so. And then I'm trying to take a little bit, load up my brush. And like I said, the reason we chose this specific bird of prey over all of the other bird of preys is because it does have some more vibrant colors than our other birds of prey would have. So what I'm doing real quick is I realized I didn't touch up that tail, so I'm trying to take a little bit of that gray. I'm gonna dab it into that tail, like so. I'm going to mix that around because it did become more of a wash. And we're going to take that, we're just going to blend it into that. Get a nice contrast, like so. Now these bottom of the wings, that's going to be pure black. But that is fine for right now. So I'm going to take some of my white. I'm just kind of dry brushing it onto there right now. Now, remember what I said, with wings of birds, it is perfectly fine to miss areas. Because if you look at a bird's wings, they're never uniform. Now, do you want to do that on every single miniature you paint? Obviously not. But in my eyes, these are going to be made for tabletop ready. The reason we're doing it more detailed than just as other miniature painters might do, which would be just painting the top of it downward, is because I want to give a more streamlined effect to my miniatures. I want to have uniqueness, which is never a bad thing. You always want to try to be unique when you paint, especially when you're painting miniatures, because the more unique you are, especially if you decided you want to do commission painting, the more unique you are, the greater chance you have at developing that mold and breaking through it and making sure that you can get that bid for a very unique, very colorful, or very mysterious looking character that somebody requested. So one way you could get that uniqueness effect going with these colors would definitely be using stippling for them. For those that don't know, stippling is another painting technique you can use when it comes to wings or really anything else. Now, the reason why I'm leaving that brown up there a little bit is because they do still have some brown on their wings, but that's what we have for the back of the wings. I do enjoy how that turned out. The front of the wings, we are going to touch up this wing a little bit more with that white, just because I want to hit that white and make it shine more. On the inside of that wing. Now, I don't want it to shine like pure white because this is the shadowed recess area. But I did want to cover up some of that black a little more. So with that, our highlights are done with him. So you do see that the highlights do transition down. So we started all the way up here. So with this one, we just took it to there. The one before, we took it to there. Then we took it to there, and we left a little bit on the bottom. So now that we have that, we are going to take some of our original paint and just kind of dry brush any white that we don't want to show up on there, just so that we can make sure that it stays where it needs to be and we got it covered. Okay, so while he dries, we're gonna move on to the next step for her. Now the next step for her is going to be elven flesh. Now we're going to use elven flesh in two different ways here. One, highlights. Two, we're going to use it for our blonde as well. Now our blonde, we're going to gradually get darker and or lighter and lighter. I want it to be a pretty light blonde. So what I'm going to do first is my barbarian flesh is too dry, so I'm going to take barbarian flesh. I'm going to put it dollop right there, because I want to do those highlights first on the body. I'm going to take a little bit from both. Mix some of that over there. Mix some of that over here. I'm just going to mix that together until I get a very nice highlight, like so. So now what I'm going to do is, since we did the face, the vast majority of her, or since we did the front of her in as the main highlight, the vast majority of her is going to get this highlight as well. So I'm just doing the arms, I'm doing the legs, pretty much anywhere the light would have shone onto her. Her ear, we're gonna just do a quick dollop there. Her face. On this side, we're going to span that out over a little bit. Not too much, though. This arm. And when we start doing our true highlighting, it will be more relevant. What I mean by true highlighting is, like, right now, this is more so the parts of her where, if you see, we got a little bit of shadow on there, but it's still brightening up on that side. I'm going to take it, I'm going to do the bottom of this leg a little bit. Up. Do her claws. Now remember, like I said in the prior video, we are going to do the claws in the actual hints of the leg of her in Desert Yellow. We're going to do Elven Flesh for him, just to give him a little bit more vibrancy. But what I'm doing is I'm doing thin layers as to not go over anything I do want to keep as that barbarian skin tone. Okay, so now we move on to the actual hair for her. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cleaning my brush a little bit to keep it nice and straight. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that. And I'm going to pick and choose the strands I want to have that blonde highlight. Now this isn't going to be our brightest highlight. So we're going to mix other yellows in there, get more vibrancy over time. But that's what we got right now. As you can see, she's got somewhat of a blonde hair effect going on. It's going to just get brighter and brighter. Now we do want that one up front. Definitely get that effect. Like so. So, while that's drying, we are going to go to our next vibrant color. And we're going to layer this down just as if we were doing any other highlight. Demon Yellow seems to be clogged. Let me see if I can't pull the topper off for a second to clean that. Ah, yep, there we go. So we got a big lump. Inside there. So I want to wash my fingers real quick because we don't want to get that on any of the figures yet. No problem. We'll throw this one away because I do have another set with Damon Yellow in it. So we're just going to squirt some of that out. Now, if you're asking yourself how that happened, these are older paints. A lot of the paints I've had are... It isn't a Scarecrow miniature painting video unless it falls over. A lot of the miniature paints I've had since I started miniature painting, which was 5 or 6 years ago. So just like before, we're going to take that pure. We're just going to slowly mix it in with that demonic yellow until I get about that consistency. So I don't want to mix all of it in because I do still need it for some of the highlighting on her. So I'm just going to take some of that mixture. I'm just going to touch up some of these recesses. Now what that should do is when it dries, it should leave the prior highlights in where we had them, which is what we want, or the prior shades I should say, such as that brown, the elven flesh, and pretty much everything else. I'm just checking, making sure that it didn't get mixed up in with that too much, so that I can begin proper highlighting it. So what I mean by proper highlighting is I'm making sure I'm getting all the recesses that would be highlighted. I'm trying to leave some of the arm as where the arm folds. I'm trying to leave some of those vacant so that you guys can see the musculature, or hard word to say, musculature of how it bends. So, for instance, back here, we're going to highlight that a little bit more. We're going to leave some of that open. I'm trying, now the yellow did kind of just overrun the figure, so we may have to do a second coat of, or second location of elven flesh, but that's not an issue. And nope, it looks exactly the same. So yeah, so that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing, which is good. It just looked a little darker, or a little bit lighter than what I was anticipating. And now that I'm looking at it, we might actually go and make her hair red to kind of pull in those features, which is not hard to do because all we have to do is add a pure red, glaze over that, and it will actually make it a lot redder as well. So I'll just highlight right there, on the arm, right there on the shoulder. Now we are reaching the 25-minute mark, so we will do her body later. Checking the hair, seeing if I got room on my palette for the red. So we're gonna do a bright red, because that red should mix in with that yellow, giving it more of an orange tint. Anyway, so I'm just gonna do a pure red. I'm just gonna do a little dollop right there. So, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I've said that if you are not a fan of how something looks, to always reconsider it or to redo it. And this is just one of those examples. I was not a fan of how the hair was looking, so we were going back and we were redoing it as red. And I think this is going to suit her a little bit better than the blonde, just because it's going to draw in that face a little bit more as well. So as you can see, that's drawing in the face a little bit more as well, which is what we want to go for in a figure like this. Now, one thing I didn't touch up on, and I'm going to do that now, was that neck, because that neck is visible. Down the collarbone. And now we're going to go straight into a pure elven flesh on that to give a more blended look on that collar, on the neck. Like so. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that elven flesh. I'm going to just do the hand, this thigh, to a certain degree. There we have that. Now that is the lightest I have. However, we could do one more highlight on that, and that being mummy robes. So I'm going to put a little bit of mummy robes down here. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking a skin tone, I'm taking a white, and I'm just going to mix them together over in this vicinity over here, lightening it up. I'm trying to keep some of that mummy robes clean so that we can use it for a final highlight. So I'm just going to take that, I'm going to dollop that right there. Now that turned into more of a wash, so I'm going to just dab that off. I'll try to get the actual pigmentation off it. There we go, that's what I wanted to see. So we're going to move that into the hand. We're going to move that into the face a little bit. The ear right there. This shoulder. to here. Down that elbow into this fist. Across the knuckles. We're going to make that back leg shine. There. And there we have the highlights on her. Now we are going to do one more final highlight, and this is just going to be more of a touch-up highlight, as I call it. So we're just going to take a pure mummy bone. I'm going to just do a quick dot there, quick dot there, one right there into the hand, kind of blending it in. Quick dot on the shoulder, quick dot across there, and just touching the fist. Now we're going to do one more across the brow of the face, highlighting the cheek and the chin. We're just going to blend that into there a little bit. And then we're going to blend in this knee by pulling that in there, pulling that across there, blend that down into there. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. All right, there, we're just going to mix that up into there, and her highlighting is done. Now, if you've seen my videos, you'll know that I prefer doing highlighting after I paint it fully. But that is what we got going for us. I do like how I did the accent of the hip there. That hip is showing. And then what I like is like how it just shows that she's in the light. She's basking in it. In the next video, we will do her wings. Before we do her wings, we are going to do his face, because we do got the little details in the face. We got his beak to do. We have his finger blend that in together. I don't know what happened there. We have his shield to do. Well, I got this. It does look like actually got pure. There we go. I was just touching up his arms because he did have a little bit of arm showing through. Now we're going to leave the bottom of the arm as brown. I think that's a nice accent color for him. We got his face to do. We have his pants and his belts. We have his legs to do, which the legs, if that's not dry, we can do now, actually. This video is going to be a little bit of a longer video than what we typically do, just because we're trying to get the rest of it done. Because a friend of mine has recently acquired a few miniatures, and he wants to see what I can do with them. So these are going to be scale models. These aren't going to be like Warhammer or Shatterpoint or anything like that. These are going to be actual scale models. They are going to be Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. And they are going to be Leia from Star Wars. Now, Leia is going to be a little bit more promiscuous. Well, they both are. If you've seen Star Wars, you'll know the outfit I'm going to be referring to. The Episode 6 outfit, as I'll call it. Jabba's outfit. And with that, all we have left with this guy is his face, highlights, everything like that. With her, we have her wings. We have her... Her hair turned out really good. I like how that looks. We have her wings. We have her clothes. And then we have her base and her claws. Her claws... No, we'll not do the claws yet. We'll do the claws. So we'll leave the... I actually like how that looks with the elven flesh on there. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly do her claws. And then in the next episode, we are going to hopefully have these two finished. I want to do their clothes for sure. And then I want to do his face. Get that finalized. And then his spearhead, I want to finalize. I want to get her wings finished and her clothes finished. And then we can go ahead and move forward with calling them done and giving them a soft wash. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And check out our Facebook community, our Etsy shop, our Patreon account, our Fiverr store. And we are on TikTok and Instagram now, so you can also find us on there under Scarecrow Miniature Painting, just like you can on Facebook. With that being said, have a great night, and thank you for watching.